there was a man in the county jail, and he had taken off his pants and tried to hang himself. He felt he was alone, and so he was locked down in his cell alone, and they give them this heavy smock-looking thing. It's something made out of heavy material that they can't use to hurt themselves. So they wear that, and that's it. So they just have this kind of heavy robe that they have on. And I asked the correction officer if he could, there's a food port in the door, and big enough to slide a tray in and out. And I asked him if he could open that food port. And the inmate was on the inside. And he came over by the door, and he sit on one side of the door, and I sit down on the other side of the door, and I was able to minister to him and talk to him. And he was talking about how the world has forsaken him, and God had forsaken him, his family had forsaken him. He was all alone, he had nothing to live for. And he was talking about how the world has forsaken him, and God had forsaken him, his family had forsaken him. He was all alone, he had nothing to live for. And it was so obvious to me that God had sent me there to speak to him, locked down in jail, alone, through a door, through a little hole in the door. God sent me there to tell him that God loved him and God had a purpose for his life. And that's the reason he was still alive. And it was like a light went on in his head. He says, oh, God has not forsaken me, because he sent his servant to come and minister to me through a little hole in the wall and tell him that God's power is present to help him and to heal his mind and restore him to the way that God wants him to be. So we prayed the sinner's prayer. And we talked, and he felt better. And God began to do a healing work in his life. And so it's just beautiful how God moves sometimes in people's lives. And I just feel so privileged to be able to share that message with the people.